Nobody starts at the finish line. You have to start somewhere. In order for you to get to where you're going, to meet that destination, you can't think that you're going to get there instantly. Welcome to another episode of the Mr. Mindful Minute podcast, where we touch on different things, on different areas of life, on how we could go from a nothing place to a something place. And today we have a special guest. Listen, this coach, this therapist, she's phenomenal. I'm actually going to let her introduce herself. Please tell everybody who you are and where you from and how you help us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juanice Moore. I live in the metro Atlanta area. I am a Georgia peach. I am from Georgia and I live in the metro Atlanta area. It's like three of us unicorns running around here. So I'm one of them. I am a licensed professional counselor in the state of Georgia, a life coach, a boy mom or man mom because he's a whole adult now. And I am an avid kind of like a gym rat kind of person. I'm not judgy with it, but I understand the importance of your physical health.
All right. Thank you for
Author.
joining us.
Mhm.
I just want to say I appreciate this opportunity. So thank you. So today, we're getting on the aspect of mental fitness and then also the connection with physical fitness at the same time. So I just want to ask you a couple of questions. And so my first question that I have for you is, how long have you actually been in the realm of mental health and also physical therapy?
Mental health, I would say legally, probably about 10 years. And when I say legally, I was the friend that had always, for some reason, the solid advice. Now I try not to do so much giving people advice. I feel like the answers are already in you. I'll help you find them. Um, so, mental health legally about 10 years. Physical health my whole life. I've always been a person who was very active, a runner, and I just understood the value of keeping your body in a good, sound place and feeling good. That leads to self confidence, boosted self esteem, and all those things. So, pretty much my whole life, I've been a physical fitness kind of person.
All right, so that means that you definitely are well versed in the field of physical fitness and also, more importantly, mental fitness. And we're seeing that, especially now with this COVID thing going on. A lot of people are isolated, and how much we need to take care of our mental health is
Mhm.
showing. And so I just want to thank you for your contributions as a therapist on what you're actually doing for the world.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. This year has definitely, I saw something the other day and said 2020 did like an x ray. And that's very true. So many things were revealed to so many people, and the nature of living in and through a pandemic. I don't know of anyone alive who's lived through a pandemic before. So the mental health aspects are very, very real. You're seeing a lot more people who have suicidal ideation, depression, anxiety, a lot of panic, relationship issues between couples. I have couples come in session like whispering they can't get away from that person. And and the opposite. My single people are desperately, some of them lonely, and are looking for some kind of connection, especially if they live alone. So it kind of, 2020 kind of revealed a lot of different stuff, and provided a lot of opportunities for people to explore things and look at them in a different way. And mental health professionals, we stepped in there. And on top of all that stuff, then the overwhelming grief. So it's been a very, very challenging year. So thank you for recognizing that, and understanding that mental health side of what we're dealing with just as a society is very, very important. And it's not a hashtag kind of thing. It's not a a fad. It's not something that's going away. So I think it brought to the forefront the real importance and the significance of our mental health and the impact that it has just on our day-to-day functioning. So
I
don't get me
like that point that you made about, what 2020 did, as far as being like an x-ray, helped us to like see within.
started.
And so we weren't able to either notice it or we just ignore it. And when this happened, it was just no ignoring it. It's right there. It's almost like how as a kid, that you get told to go clean your room up and you sweep everything up under the bed, but everything is still there. You didn't do anything with it. And so this really just exposed a lot of those things that as people, the issues that we actually need to go up under the bed, pull that stuff out, and
Yep.
actually deal with it. So, um, my next question that I actually have for you is, why did you get into this field? This is not something that people, always say, oh man, I want to do this. I want to, go into the mental health field. What made you actually do that?
So it was Victor. I have three brothers. I'm the only girl, and I grew up on a farm in Middle Georgia. And I was really good at arguing. So it was either be an attorney, right, or go into mental health because I was the why child. I always kind of looked at things and went, I wonder why. I wonder how. Yeah, I was kind of was more than surface level. I wanted to know more than surface level. The attorney thing, I think, not that I'm not a studious person. We all kind of want it quick, right? And I was like, I don't know if I want to go to school that long. Lo and behold, I had to anyway. So either way, I think that at the end of the day, though, we end up where we should be. And the thoughts of why and understanding behavior and going through things that, I think at 25, 30, well, I'll have a story of something that we've overcome. And going through those things and realizing what was there, what wasn't there, what was missing, and the whole thought of somebody having an understanding place to come to me from and a non-judgmental space. I just made the decision that was where I needed to be in that non-judgmental space.
All right. That makes complete sense.
Yeah.
You said, look, I'm either gonna be this or I'm gonna be this. It's either or, and that usually does happen. So we're glad that you actually picked the field that you fit, Um, so my next question to you is, do you think that, so on the realm of mental health and physical fitness,
Mhm.
is one more important than the other?
Ooh, no, that's like which came first, the chicken or the egg? I don't think
Uh,
that, to me, I don't think that one is more important than the other. I think that I've had my physical health challenged in such a way that I had to learn how to walk again. I've had it all taken away and I had to regain those skills. And obviously, what I needed when my physical health was lacking was the mental fortitude to get it back. So I can't say either one became more important than the other. I think they're interconnected. And sometimes I think that we don't understand how interconnected they are. Like literally, your brain controls everything that you do. My injury was a brain injury. So there were a lot of things that were taken away. And so you don't get how much is controlling your physical, my ability to speak, everything, to smell. Your brain controls everything, right? We know this, but again, we're not really connected to it. We just know it works. So the idea that the mental is separate from the physical to me isn't, it's like a fallacy that's kind of been supported through people who just don't want to deal with the mental side because we have room for, I have a heart attack and I go see a cardiologist. Like we have room for that and that's expected. But I'm having some mental issues and I need to go talk to somebody. We tend to disconnect and we tend to minimize the impact and the effect of the brain on the physical and the mental. So I can't say one is more important than the other. I think they help each other. I think they support each other and they nourish each other in so many different ways. So that's kind of, I couldn't pick a side on that one.
And so I asked that question because, and it kind of goes into my next question, because sometimes as people, we tend to think about the things that we mundanely just do. You know, everything is so, we don't have to put no conscious effort into it. And so everything on the physical side, oh, I know what I need to do to get some big muscles or to get the six pack. I know what I need to do, but I don't necessarily know what I may need to do in order to get my mental strength or to deal with those things that may be attacking me mentally or even emotionally. And
Mhm.
so it kind of goes in the realm of, do you think that some people, and obviously this is not for everybody, but do you think that some people think that one gets more attention than the other? So kind of on the realms of, oh well, I'm gonna put more attention on the physical side and I'm gonna kind of broom the mental to the side. I'm not gonna really deal with it. Do you think that people do that?
Absolutely. I think that people do that. And I think that they have their own day of reckoning within that process. That, oh, I'm just paying attention to the physical and I'm not recognizing what it's actually doing for my mental. When you're paying attention to the physical, when you're eating right, when you're exercising, when you're meditating and you're taking time to do those things that get your physical together, you're actually helping your mental. You're releasing the hormones in your brain called endorphins that's kind of helping you. You don't, I haven't talked to a person yet that had a workout and they're like, emotionally, I just feel so much more worse after the workout. You tend to feel better. And you're like, I don't know why. I just feel better because your brain's like, I got it. Don't worry about it. I just gave you some endorphins. Go enjoy that. So I think that sometimes people think if I'm focusing on my physical and I'm doing this physical stuff, it's just about the physical. But if they're really, really tapped in, they know it's a whole thing. It's a whole vibe, as people like to say. It's a whole vibe. You're tapping into everything because you're feeling good because you're doing something for your body. You're going to see the results of that in your labs or in your physical manifestation, how you're walking around the world. You're going to see the effort. You're going to see the fruits of your labor in the physical. That's going to make you feel better. That's emotional. So they're interconnected. But I think people do. People don't realize the goodness sometimes that they're doing themselves overall by engaging in the physical. So yeah, I think they do.
Okay. So you're saying that, we really have to pay attention to the fact that, yes, we're doing stuff on the physical side, but we also need to give equal attention to the things that's going to help us with our mental fitness
Mhm,
as well. And obviously, each individual needs to figure out what that is.
mhm.
But you're saying that we don't want to just do what we did as kids and broom it under the rug and then just say, okay, I took care of it.
It'll come out as if we if we are lucky enough to continue to age. What we pushed under that rug is going to show itself in our body and in the physical manifestation. And stress shows itself. That's an emotion, but it shows itself physically. People say all the time, stress kills, and you kind of it's just one of those things that people say. But I have a little chart that I use to show people their body when they're in stress, fight or flight. I show them what's happening and they're like, oh yeah, this, I'm like, I feel like this all the time. Well, your body's not designed to feel like this all the time. And so they connect. Oh, wow. This is what they mean when they say stress will kill you. Absolutely. So people are able to connect then, and then they usually will say, well, I got to take better care of me mentally. Yeah. But physical is work is a part of that's the first thing I go to. That is the first thing I go to. Are you exercising? Are you moving your body in any kind of way other than walking back and forth to your car at the store, the fridge, or work? Like, are you intentionally giving your body time to move? And are you drinking water, which is like the oil for our body, lubrication, for our body, water, and it's just basic things that people disconnect from. You hear these things, but you kind of disconnect from it. And like you said, you just kind of, it's a humdrum, mundane, oh yeah, I need to drink some water. But you don't really realize how important that is for you until it becomes that important. And so I always like to talk to people about, if you are in good health and you're coming to see me for your mental, that's awesome. Tell me what you're doing physically too. I want to help the whole you, not just one part.
Ah, okay. I like that. I like that. Even though they're saying, okay, I'm dealing with this, but you're like, okay, but you need to be doing this also because this is the bridge for that as well. That's a really good point. And then especially the aspect of what you're saying about water, right? We know that our body is 70 to 80% water, but we don't look at that as each of our organs, like our brain, is mainly of water. And so when we're dehydrated, when we like, oh, we disconnect, well, oh man, all I want to drink is soda and juice and tea and lemonade. That stuff is made with water. But we don't understand that we're actually dehydrating these different organs in our body. And so you're saying, no, you need to be doing this also. So let me ask you this question. What is one of the most common things that people ignore as far as their mental health and then their physical health?
Um, with mental health, I will go back to stress, and just dealing, as you said, and it's almost like a little bit of trauma too. I specialize with trauma, and I find that a lot of things that people do day to day, a lot of how they interact, is coping mechanisms that are developed probably from some kind of trauma that happened at some point. I'm not saying that everybody has had a horrible childhood, or anything like that. I'm not gonna give people a story they don't have. But again, as I said earlier, I think by the time we hit our mid 20s, some of us much sooner, we got a story to tell. Something's happened. And so we learn how to deal with life through that. And I think that in a part of that, this is my story, go and process that with someone else and make sure that the rest of your life, the rest of your relationships, the rest of your interactions with your family, with your job, with your home, with your own body aren't based in a trauma response. Just go have a couple of conversations and see what's going on. And then if there's something noticed, then you have an opportunity to make sure you're moving forward in a more productive way. Our response to stress is oftentimes, I meet so many people. Oh, you just, it's just a part of the job. It's just a part of the relationship. It's just a part, everything's just a part of something. I have room for that, but I also have more room for why is it a part and why are you accepting that part? And do you realize the impact that it's having on your, not just your mental, your physical? I have people who I have worked with who came and they, you look kind of drawn and tired and dehydrated, and life has just beat you up, your job has beat you up. And then I start to work with them and they get a little bit more energy because they feel a little bit more in control and they're making one or two small decisions that are going to help them get closer to where they actually feel like they should be versus where they are. And the next thing you know, they're not looking dehydrated, you know. They have more energy, their thoughts are clearer. It's all, I've got them at some point to go do something physical. I've got them to drink more water, and I've given them little things that are, I think we talked about before, foundational, that help them cope better than what they were. So people neglect the mental with stress and just assuming that stress is a part of life and it's a part of your everyday and it should be expected. And in actuality, that's not true. You have your good stress. Yes, I love the good stress because there's something good on the backside of that stress. You're buying a house, it's a stressful process, but you get a nice big house. You get to own something at the end. You have a proposal at work. It's kind of nerve wracking. You might have a little bit of anxiety, but then you win the bid. That's awesome. That's good stress, right? The bad stress where you just beat up for no reason, we have to find ways to deal with that. And most people don't because they think that's just a part of living. On the physical side, we do things. See, I connect everything physical and mental. We stress eat, right? Some of us, we stress eat, or we do things to deal with stress. We smoke, we drink, we shop excessively. We do all these different things to cope with stress. They impact our physical. And so we look up and we're in our 40s, some of us not even that far along, and we are obese and we have type 2 diabetes and we have hypertension. And the story and the narrative is it runs in the family. It doesn't have to run in the family. Right? There are some very specific things that you can do, like drink water, not sweet tea. I'm from Georgia. If it ain't sweet, it ain't sweet tea. I don't even drink it anymore. It tastes like syrup to me. I can't do it. Right? So there are some very specific things that we do. We have our different cultures and traditions set up around appeasing our stress that are counterproductive. And so they impact our physical. And then we just write them off. And so then, we get to a point to where it's in our face and we have to cope with it. And some people can find better coping mechanisms and take the advice of physicians and coaches and stuff. And some people don't, and they succumb to those negative coping mechanisms or habits or addictions or what have you. So I think one more than the other. Again, that goes back to my other question. I think the other answer, they're interconnected. So even if you're neglecting your physical, mentally, you're just not going to be sharp. You're not going to be on top of it. You're going to be doing some stuff that's counterproductive to what you're trying to do. And you're going to be setting yourself up to fail. And if you're ignoring your mental and you're pushing, you're wearing your body out physically because you're putting all that stress on your body. And you need to learn how to balance it.
Okay, so you said a couple of things that just like blew my mind. But one thing that stood out just now was you're saying that if you're ignoring one thing, you're actually in turn affecting the other thing. So if we're ignoring our physical, but we're making sure our mental health is good, we're in turn affecting our mental health. And if we're taking care of our physical, but ignoring our mental, we're in turn affecting our mental health. And I like how you bridge that gap there and even said that, certain things, we look at it as, oh, well, stress, oh, it's just a part of life. Oh, this is just that. And it's almost like we normalize negativity. We normalize bad things happening and saying, oh, well, that's just how it is. So just accept it and it's okay. And like how you even said, certain stresses or anxieties are good. Oh, I'm about to take this test. I'm preparing for it. I hope I do good on it. Or like you said, about to buy a house. There's some type of anxieties and stresses that may come with it, but those are the good sides and not just saying, oh, well, that's just how life is and not accepting, as they would say, the inevitable negative things that are actually going to happen. And so even with the physical aspect, and I believe the same thing, it's not hereditary, and this is just my opinion, it's not hereditary if I can do something about it.
Right.
Like if my grandpa and my mama and my daddy went bald, there's nothing I can do about that. But if they did eat a certain way or they, drink certain things, yes, they will get certain things. And if I don't want to get it, I have to get off of that track. And the moment that I got off of that, I have a different course of life for me. And so we sometimes believe that, oh, well, because they have it or they did it, I in turn am automatically is going to have that fate. And that is not how it works.
No,
That's what you're saying. And I believe the same thing. And I'm glad that you brought that out. Right. So something that I actually wanted to ask you is this. Mm-hmm. How can a person get to a place of taking the steps to have a better mental and physical health? So like they're acknowledging like, you know what, I got some mental stresses, or I'm trying to lose some weight, but I just can't mentally, I can't get myself there. We talk ourselves out of it, so how can a person get to that space of believing that they can, so they can actually take the steps?
Okay. And I want to go back to the last question real quick and kind of in I'm not a medical provider. So let me just say that, as we said, there are certain things that are heredity and some that are not. There's some things, some chronic conditions that can be better served by a change in lifestyle. Right. So that's how I want to say that. So I don't want anybody to get offended like, oh, this does run in my family. There are some chronic conditions that can be impacted by lifestyle, and the data has shown this.
Right.
So how can a person make emotional or physical or both changes? Which one?
I believe both.
Okay. So I think the emotional side is something that some people are just more likely to seek help than others. And I think understanding first that we are all humans, there's going to be good things, there's going to be awesome things, and there's going to be horrible things. It's going to happen in the course of our life. And it's how do we cope with those bad things, right? And not feeling like, okay, this bad thing just happened. Okay, take a deep breath. Okay, next day. Okay, now something else, just like we keep doing that to ourselves, making ourselves think that we have to do this alone. That's something that has come up actually quite often lately, personally and professionally. A lot of people feel like they have to do this by themselves, and that's not true. So again, as I said earlier, if we had a heart issue, we wouldn't hesitate to see a cardiologist. For mental, we should have that same kind of vigor around seeking help for our mental. If we find that we're always confused and we're always sad and we're always nervous and we're always something, there should be a moment in there where it should be okay to say, and I'm going to say it's okay, give yourself the grace, as I said the other day, to say this is too much and I need somebody to talk to, and then go find that help, because it's there and it's available. If you have insurance, there are mental health professionals just as there are physical health professionals in your insurance directory, right? If you don't have insurance, all you got to do is Google it. Mental health, mental health professionals. There are national organizations like NAMI and Mental Health Alliance. There's so many different organizations and so many resources out there for people who are looking for help for a myriad of mental health conditions, and substance abuse is one of those. That's considered a mental health condition as well. There's so many organizations, so don't be afraid. It's literally just a Google search away. For physical health, we meet those people. I meet those people often. Everybody, wants to take some weight off, or, two or three might want to gain some weight, and they want to look a certain way and feel a certain way. And I think a part of that is something that I did that was really helpful to me. I connected with a personal trainer, a physical coach when I was on the journey. I've always been kind of physical, but when I wanted to do something a little different with the rehab from my brain injury and the learning to walk again, I got that part, but I noticed some deficits. So I wanted somebody to help me take it to another level. And that's exactly what I did. I made that, yeah, it costs money, but I saw that as an investment in me. And when we make investments, we expect a return on the investment, the ROI. I got my return, right? And I made that investment with the intention of receiving a return. So I put in the work, and there were days that mentally I didn't feel like it, but I had that accountability person, and if I'm spending my money, I'm gonna have a little bit more energy around fulfilling that obligation. If I'm paying for a service, I'm not gonna take advantage of the service because my mood ain't right. He was, I'm not. Don't worry about your mood. Don't even bring it. I just need your body here. Okay. And that was, and that was the nature of that relationship, and that was how it worked. So you have to just give yourself some grace. And there were days where I just couldn't do it. He'd say, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. I gave myself grace in that day, in that moment, that I'm a human. Before I'm anything, I'm a human. And so that means, as a part of that, there are going to be times when I can go hard, and there are going to be times when I can't. And I shouldn't. And I should allow myself that grace so that I can take that deep breath and then go back to doing what I need to do to move myself forward. Accountability partners, people who either, if you don't, you are not in a position to be able to afford a trainer, awesome. Go online, go on YouTube, call your neighbor. Come on, let's go to the gym. I need somebody to help me do this. Let's go for a walk. It doesn't have to be a major 2 hour or two a day kind of thing to tackle your physical health. It doesn't have to be that. If you're not trying to do it as a profession, you probably shouldn't do that anyway, right? But just going for a walk every day, a few times a week, you're going to start to see the changes in your body. You're going to start to see the changes in your mental. You're going to start to feel better. You're going to start to look better. Your numbers, if you go to the doctor, those numbers are going to look better because you're making an investment by spending your time on your body and not watching Netflix or not eating junk or not doing something that's not necessarily productive. You're going to get a return on that investment. So I think if people kind of shift their thought process of mental and physical health to, I don't have time. No, if you were investing money, you would expect to see a return. So that's what you're doing. You're investing in yourself. I think if we kind of look at it that way, we'll have a different energy around taking care of ourselves.
Okay. So we definitely want to make sure that we're giving ourselves that grace, being kind to ourselves, and
Definitely.
saying that, there's nothing wrong with, what, I can't do this right now. Not I can't do this, period, but just right now, I can't do it. We're going to come back. We're going to revisit this. And then also, as you said, getting accountability partners or just
Mhm.
taking some steps. That investment is very big. We have to invest into ourselves because we do the same thing with other areas of our life. We invest into so many other things and maybe even other people, but we sometimes just don't invest into us. When I
Right.
always say, how can you do anything that you like or love if you don't take care of you first? You have to. And so I like how you definitely said that. And so I've talked to a few people, and this is one of the questions that I was given, and it said, "What are some tips that a person can do to actually start physical fitness?" Now, I was a personal trainer, and I said, "Okay, I am going to ask you, what are some tips a person could take to start getting into the realm of physical fitness?"
Okay. So I'm not a personal trainer.
No, no, I know you're not.
Right. For me, it's just a thing. I feel better. And all I can tell you is the endorphins be popping when I go exercise, right? I feel better. Tips, you come up with your why. And I think that the why has to be deeper than I want to lose 20 pounds and get in a dress or go to this event or whatever. The why has to be deeper. Maybe go and get the overall annual physical and look at your numbers and see where they are. And maybe there's a why sitting in there, right? Maybe you have a family history of some illnesses, and you can see opportunities just in the family traditions uh, of a way that maybe some of this can be changed. Maybe it doesn't have to be so severe. Maybe it doesn't have to impact us in this way. So find a why that's deeper, not a shallow, short term why. You find a why that's deeper, and that'll drive you. And I have found for some people, it's mental wellness. And when they start the physical, they see the connection and they get it, and I know it's kind of like um, an oxymoron. Like, if you work out, you'll feel better. Well, I don't have the energy to work out. I know. But if you work out, you'll start to have the energy. And it's kind of one of those things you kind of got to baby step them into. Don't work out, go for a walk. Don't work out, dance. Don't work out, do some yoga. Stretch your body, move your body, do something. So I think what I have found for people is if there's a challenge in there and something that they can get to relatively quickly, that usually sustains. Like, so if you want to lose 20 pounds, what I always tell people, I go to the water. Are you drinking water? How much are you moving your body? Well, I'm not doing any of that. Okay, well, let's set some small goals. As a therapist, on the therapy side, I'll go, okay, let's start some small goals. And we're going to get you there. I can't tell you I'm going to get you there in a month. But, and I'm not a physical, I'm not a personal trainer. That's not how I'm trained. I just know foundational stuff. I know what's worked for me. So let's talk about increasing your water intake. Let's talk about increasing just the physical activity, whatever you want the activity to be. Park further away when you go to the store. It's little tweaks you can make in your day, and look at that as I'm investing in me. I know it's going to take me 60 seconds longer to get to the front door of the Publix, but I'm investing in me.
And
You know,
so the reason that I asked you is because your story and what you have been through and what you have overcome is phenomenal.
yeah.
And sometimes as people, we need to hear somebody that has experienced something, that
Mhm.
has used that obstacle as an opportunity to be their reason. And so what you're saying is our reason cannot be attached to something that's just emotional. And so when that is, oh, well, I want to lose this 20 pounds so I can get in this dress, so I can look good for this, when that feeling kind of goes away, and now is you don't have no reason anymore. And so we have to make sure that our reason is attached to something more tangible. And for you, with your story, it was you really wanted to overcome because of who you was, because of the place that you were in life, the things that you were trying to do. You knew that everything in you could, and even though you didn't know how long it was going to take, you still said, this is what I'm going to do. These were the steps that I'm going to implement. And that's why I asked you, what are some tips that a person can actually take? So I love your story.
The story, yeah, the learning to walk again, and going through that process of rehabilitating from my brain injury was definitely a part of that. Was just an innate thing. I'm just a little bit of stubborn, and I kind of sometimes want it my way, especially in regards to my body. And I it was humbling in that you don't realize how much control your brain has over your body. You know, but you don't really know. And so that brought it home. And if I have nothing else, I have willpower. And so it was some willpower, some vanity, because I was like, I'm 42 years old. This cannot be the end of my walking career in my life. This isn't it. I run. I maintain my body. Like, I enjoy being physical. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to get me back to my goal was really just to jog again. I surpassed that with the help. I pulled in resources. I hired a personal trainer. And next thing I know, I'm deadlifting over 215 pounds. That wasn't the goal at first. It was just to jog, you know, and just for a few minutes. But to come from using a walker, that was a major goal. So not only did I got there, and I took it forward and I kept going, because remember I said those little goals, when you hit the little ones, it feels good, that sense of accomplishment. It's like, I wonder if I can do that. I think I can do this. I think I can do that. And you just keep going, and you just keep going, because if the willpower is there, a lot of times you can push yourself. Again, I'm not a medical doctor, and I think that there are, for instance, what happened to me, there are people who are left with physical manifestations that willpower alone won't fix. There's something,
Mhm.
right? And so I don't would never minimize anybody's trauma and hurt and pain in that way. There are people who still deal with pain every day from what happened to me. You wouldn't know anything happened to me if I didn't tell you. And why? I don't know. That was how the cards were laid out for me. For other people, it's different.
Right.
But that story. That is definitely, it showed me with my willpower and just determination, and dogged determination, and then the grace to have the days that I feel like I wasn't doing enough. I learned that rest is just as important as work. And that's when I understood the principle of rest, um, physically and mentally.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, definitely we would never minimize or negate somebody's turmoil or pain, or their setback or anything like that. What we're really expressing is, if you have the will, you can try.
Yeah.
And even though sometimes your best effort doesn't reap the results that you want to get, as long as you know that you tried and you put your effort there, you can actually be satisfied whatever the results turn out to be, whether they're what you want them to be or they're not. And as you said, sometimes there are some people who just, unfortunately, they couldn't overcome whatever the situation was for them. But as long as they can say, hey, I did try. I didn't just say, well, this is what happened or this is what it is, and so I gave up. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about something totally different here. And so now let me ask you this question. What tips can a person actually get from you on to working on developing better mental health? Because that is something that we don't really talk about it. And a lot of people are scared to ask for help. And so on this podcast now, they'll actually be able to get some tips from you as a mental health therapist on how they can start working on having better mental health.
I think one of the first things is it's kind of one of the hardest things, but I think once you cross this hurdle, you kind of are open to the rest, and that is doing some self-reflection and really looking at you, right? Why do I look so tired all the time? Why do I feel like nothing ever goes my way? What's happening in my life? What's wrong? What's happening here? And recognizing this is too much for me. Let me just go talk to somebody. I have so many people that come and talk initially, their first few sessions, they're not telling anybody. Not telling anybody I'm in therapy. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not crazy. That's the word. I can't stand that word. I'm not crazy. I call you crazy. But we all have moments where we just need an outside opinion. You don't know me and I don't know you. What's going on? And if you want an opinion, I got one. But I'm gonna further challenge you to find the answer to whatever you're dealing with within yourself. I think the first tip is recognizing I don't have to do this by myself. And just like I said, when I was trying to get back to jogging and I sought help, I got a trainer. Not only did I reach my first goal, there were many, many goals. I'm so far past the first thing that I got with him for. I literally was like, I'm going to pay for about 5 or 10 sessions. I'm going to take all his tips and I'm going to do it myself. A year and a half later, 2 years later, we were still training. Okay. So it took on a whole life on its own. So recognizing you don't have to do it by yourself. And I'm not minimizing those people who got that strong will, right? And that strong determination. I'm not minimizing your determination, but how much further could you go if you tapped into somebody else who had another whole set of resources that you may not have known about? So you can come as a source for resourcing. I have people who come like, hey, my daughter needs to talk to somebody, but I want to talk to you first. Yeah, she's an adult, but I wanted her to see me do this so we can all kind of talk about what this should look like going forward. So sometimes it's just resourcing and saying, you know what, maybe I could run this by somebody, and just see, is it me? Am I doing too much? That's always a question. Am I doing too much? Does it feel like too much? Well, okay, let's talk about that. Let's further explore that and being open to maybe somebody else can point me in a different direction. Being open to that and not taking it as a slight against self, right? I have clients who I am intimidated to talk to them by nature of what they do. But it develops into a respect of each other's skill. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right. So it's not even a thing like that. You got to find the connection with the right person. If you don't feel connected to your therapist, or the person who you're seeking, even a mentor, if you're not connected to them and feel like you can be your authentic self, then you continue to search for somebody who you feel like you can be authentic with. But it is just that. It's the opportunity to be authentic with somebody, vulnerable in that moment. And I know that's a scary word, but with the expectation that you're going to get an ROI, you're going to have a return on that investment in yourself. Definitely. So the first tip would be like, okay, reflecting on yourself. There's this one thing maybe that's just not going so well. What are the resources that are available to me? Seeking that and then expecting the ROI. You're making an investment. So
I love that. All right, so let me ask you this. Where can people actually get your services from if they wanted to, reach out to you, get some type of help from you? How could a person do that?
Well, my website, the name of my company is The More Experience. So my website is themoreexperience.com. All spelled out, MOORE, two O's and more, and the whole word experience spelled out. The website has my phone number, my email, same for Facebook. It is The More Experience. Instagram, it's more, MOOREEXP, not on Twitter. And I just joined Clubhouse, but I don't remember my username in there. So I haven't completely set up that profile and I'm not active on that yet. So
Okay.
it'll link to Instagram once I do it. But my phone number, the contact us page, it comes to me on my website. So you can shoot me an email that way, shoot me a call, or hit me up. More on the website and email versus social media. I am on social media, but sometimes people try to get into personal stuff by nature and by law. With what I do, I can't really be doing all that. So it'd be preferable to go over to the website. I am on YouTube. I have some videos out there if you want to see some of my stuff. And I'm an author. I didn't mention that at the beginning. Yes, I am an author. I wrote a book called 7 Insights to Elevation, and that is available on Amazon. Link on my website to Amazon. Want to purchase my book?
And that was the next thing that I was going to ask you, was it products or services, that you actually provide, and you just let us know we could go on Amazon to find them. What is the name of your book again?
7 Insights to Elevation.
And there you have it. So I just want to thank you again for joining us here. Keep doing the amazing job that you're doing. It's much appreciated, and I'm humbled and I'm honored to have had this opportunity to actually interview you. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Victor. And likewise, you keep going.
You're in control of how you feel. You're in control. You are the determining factor of your feelings. No one else can control how you feel. Remember, you're in control how you feel. So control your feelings.